As we're watching here, Vince, we're seeing a car that's been pulling up and pulling back, and now we see the white Bronco take off at a speed that's considerably faster than it's been driving before.
We can't identify that other car, that it has apparently been playing some form of tag with the Bronco there. We don't know if it is, obviously it's some kind of an official vehicle, but we don't know what it is.
But look at the people standing on the freeway there, waving.
There are a number of people standing on the side of the road, just the curious and also well-wishers. We watch people.
On behalf of the people of the state of Colorado.
Can you do that last name again, please?
Gratiano.
All right, defense.
Catherine Strobel and Kimberly Chalmers on behalf of Ms. Stauch, who appears in custody.
All right, we're here for filing of charges and entry of appearance of counsel. But before we start, I want to remind everyone that video or audio recording is prohibited. There is a pool camera that will provide footage to the media. I understand this is a digital age, I get it. And I know that some reporters use their electronic devices to take notes, to blog, to tweet, those kinds of things. You can use them to do that, so long as it does not create a distraction and there is no noise. However, if anyone is caught recording any portion of these proceedings, video, audio, photographs, anything like that, that person will be required to leave.
And you say on your oath that you have not addressed any black person as a nigger or spoken about black people as niggers in the past 10 years, Detective Fuhrman.
That's what I'm saying, sir.
So that anyone who comes to this court and quotes you as using that word in dealing with African Americans would be a liar, would they not, Detective Fuhrman?
Yes, they would.
All of them, correct?
All of them.
You ever try to find a bruise on a nigger? Please You ever try to find a bruise on a nigger?
Never.
No.
He said if I had my way, I'd gather, all the niggers would be gathered together and burned.
He said, the only good nigger is a dead nigger.
Officer Fuhrman turned around, looked at me, and told me, I told you we'd get you nigger.
Around June 16, 2008, you were having significant marital problems with Cindy, were you not?
Not on that particular day, no.
And the issues with you moving out of the house was because Casey didn't want you around.
No, that wasn't the reason.
Outside somewhere, and they were outside a bank, and they were chanting. I don't know if they were chanting Attica or whatever they were chanting, but this is reminiscent of that. Sometimes,
it's strange you say that. It's strange you say that, Harold, because right now this crowd is chanting "Juice, Juice."
Absolutely. Mr. Anthony, do you know a woman by the name of Crystal Holloway?
I know her by that name and also another name.
Okay. What other name do you know her by?
River Cruz.
And how well do you know her?
Just someone who volunteered at our sites, sometime maybe considered her a friend or someone who was going to be helping find our granddaughter.
And is it your testimony that she was just another volunteer?
Absolutely, just another volunteer.
Did you have a romantic relationship with her?
No, sir. No. To me, that's.
You say that, Harold, because right now this crowd is chanting "Juice, Juice."
Absolutely 100% not guilty.
It is the filthiest, dirtiest, nastiest word in the English language. It will upset the black jurors. It'll issue a test, it'll give them a test, and the test will be, whose side are you on? The side of the white prosecutors and the white policemen? Or are you on the side of the black defendant and his very prominent and capable black lawyer? So not every hour.
Your affair with her.
I'm going to say this again. I did not have an affair with her, so the answer is no. myself, my daughter, and God knows the truth.
Okay. Now, anyone else on this earth, dog, anyone else you want to throw in there?
Crystal Holloway, Krystalholloway.
Are you known by any other names?
Yes.
What name?
River Cruz.
Why do you use that name?
Well, my father used to call me River, and my mother's maiden name was Cruz.
Do you know George Anthony?
Yes.
Did you develop a relationship with Mr. Anthony?
Yes, sir, I did.
Was this an intimate relationship?
Yes.
And did Mr. Anthony go to your home or your apartment?
It was my home, and yes, he did.
Did there ever come an occasion where you had a heart-to-heart conversation with George Anthony as to what happened to his granddaughter?
Yes.
Okay. Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you were doing and how that all transpired.
The particular night that you're referring to?
Yes.
He was sitting on my couch, and I was sitting on the floor, and he had told me, he had said it was an accident that snowballed out of control, but I was in shock, and by the time I looked up, his eyes were filled with tears, and I didn't elaborate. I didn't ask him anything further.
Was this before Kaylee was found?
Yes, sir. It was around Thanksgiving time, I believe.
And were you prompting him? Were you asking him?
No, sir.
Okay, so the topic just came up, and
well, not exactly. We were talking about his daughter, and if I'm not mistaken, I did mention I didn't think that he can raise somebody.
But don't give us your opinions. That's all right.
Your Honor, the witness is interrupted, and the witness needs to be allowed to finish her version of what she said to Mr. Anthony before he made the statement.
I didn't think that he could raise somebody that was capable of harming her child. And that's when he said it was an accident that snowballed out of control.
To the room, Casey was sitting on the floor crying, and I overheard her tell me that Kaylee had been gone for 31 days, and that Sandy had taken her.
How did you respond to that?
Kato Kalin, Brian, Katokaelin.
You a little bit nervous today?
Feel great. A little nervous.
You seem real excited to have you come.
Sustained. Wouldn't you? His name.
So you last saw the defendant standing by the Bentley at 9:35. Was that your testimony?
Is this foundation?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
All right. Yes.
At 9:35?
It'd be so the walk about 9:35, 9:36.
We were all drinking and goofing around and being loud and dancing and having a great time. And then at one point, OJ grabbed Nicole's crotch and said, "This is where babies come from, and this belongs to me." And Nicole just sort of wrote it off like it was nothing, like she was used to that kind of treatment.
I was concerned about my smallest Yorkie. We have 2 Yorkie puppies. And the smallest one was having some issues where she was extremely tired all the time. And both of the dogs would eat the bamboo leaves out in the back. So I started looking up sources from the backyard that could potentially cause her to be more sleepy than it would affect the larger dog. And I started looking up chlorophyll, and then that prompted me to look up chloroform.
Right, now, you told him that something had happened to Kaylee and Casey was lying.
Sir, definitely something happened to Kaylee. She's no longer with us. And Casey was the last one that I saw with Kaylee. 1 and 1 adds up to 2, sir, in my mind. And no matter how you're trying to spin it, I'm upset because my granddaughter is missing. I don't know where she's at. I was told that someone had taken my granddaughter, forcibly removed her from my daughter, or my daughter dropped her off at some house. I'm trying to put all the stories and information together, sir. Was I running on pure emotion and drive and demanding answers? That is my right as a father and a grandfather.
African Americans cannot hear these offensive words. The evidence will show that the careless, slipshod, negligent collection, handling, and processing of samples by basically poorly trained personnel from LAPD has contaminated, compromised, and corrupted the DNA evidence.
While there's an enormous amount of evidence for the 12 jurors to process, they're also trying to process this, just what to make of the 25-year-old accused of killing her daughter.
When the jurors are looking up, they can't help but see her. They don't miss a trick.
And both sides are trying to present the Casey they want the jury to see. From the prosecution, a cold-hearted party girl who danced while her daughter was supposedly missing. From the defense, the image of a caring mother devastated by her child's loss.
I was made aware of it some time ago. I can't the exact nature of how I got to have knowledge of duct tape. I could have seen it on the internet or some discovery that was left out there. I'm not really sure.
You told Mr. Ashton that you never had any duct tape. Were you in possession of that duct tape?
I don't remember that duct tape, whatever you're talking about, I remember that being exactly at my home. I mean, I've had tapes and stuff for many years. I mean, I've purchased duct tape at different places. I'm not.
As an upper garment, and she had on dark, lightweight sweatpants and started yelling, "He's going to kill me, he's going to kill me."
We broke the back door down to get in. Okay, wait a minute. What's your name? Nicole Simpson. Okay. Is he the sportscaster or whatever? Yeah. What is he doing? Is he threatening you? I'm going nuts.
And you smell the smell of human decomposition.
I already had the smell, sir, and I opened up the trunk with this gentleman alongside with me to see what was back there.
And you smelled a more pungent smell of human decomposition.
To be honest, at that point, all I found, sir, in the back of the trunk of the car was a bag full of garbage.
Does that mean that these characteristics that Mr. Simpson has that are also found in the Bundy Walk bloodstain are only found in approximately 1 out of 170 million Caucasians or African Americans?
Yes, approximately.
Describe that material or that blood staining as matching Nicole Brown. Is that right?
That's correct.
Can you include him as a candidate who could have worn the shoes that created the impressions in this case?
Yes, I could include him as a candidate for possibly having worn those shoes.
Although he looked like Tarzan, he was walking more like Tarzan's grandfather.
I'm telling you, you got to get your space in if you're working out with the wife, if you know what I mean.
Handing Mr. Simpson the Mark Fuhrman came up to you and told you he'd made some discovery. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so that we're clear, it was Mark Fuhrman who allegedly found this glove out there near Kaylin's room. Is that correct? Outside?
Yes.
And it was Mark Fuhrman who allegedly found this spot on the outside of the Bronco. Is that correct?
Detective Fuhrman. And it isn't their egos and how much money they can make or how many talk shows they can appear on. This case is a circus, and they've made it a circus. And I know that you've tried to do everything you could to prevent that.
I only have one other question.
What was that, Mr. Fuhrman?
Detective Fuhrman, did you plant or manufacture any evidence in this case?
I assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
What more does anyone need out there to understand that we have now demonstrated this man had motive, He had opportunity, and now he's claiming the Fifth Amendment out of his own mouth.
In the Circuit Court for the 9th Judicial Circuit in and for Orange County, Florida. State of Florida versus Casey Marie Anthony. As to case number 2008 CF 15606-0. As to the charge of first-degree murder, verdict as to count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty, so say we all, dated at Orlando.
Let me come back to Mark Fuhrman for a minute, just so it's clear. Did he lie when he testified here in this courtroom saying that he did not use racial epithets in the last 10 years? Yes. Is he a racist? Yes. But the fact that Mark Fuhrman is a racist and lied about it on the witness stand does not mean that we haven't proven the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
And a genocidal racist, there's no doubt about that. But there's really no doubt either that they played with this sarcasm. And if that can happen, that's a reasonable doubt for this case. Period. End of sentence. End of case.
Last night, about this case and their theory and how it didn't make any sense and how it didn't fit and how something is wrong. It occurred to me how they were going to come here and stand up here and tell you how O.J. Simpson was going to disguise himself. He was going to put on a knit cap and some dark clothes, and he was going to get in his white Bronco and this recognizable person and go over and kill his wife. That's what they want you to believe. That's how silly their argument is. And I said to myself, maybe I can demonstrate this graphically. Let me show you something. This is a knit cap. I'm going to put this knit cap on. And you've been seeing me for a year. If I put this knit cap on, who am I? I'm still Johnny Cochran with a knit cap. And if you look at O.J. Simpson over there, and he has a rather large head, O.J. Simpson in a knit cap from 2 blocks away is still O.J. Simpson. It's no disguise. It's no disguise. It makes no sense. It does.
There is a motion from Mr. Zansberg on behalf of the Associated Press.
When one of the murder victims. Nearly 40 minutes out of an hour, we have seen a man who perhaps is the worst kind of racist himself. Someone who shoves racism in front of everything. Someone who compares a person who speaks racist comments to Hitler. A person who murdered millions of people. This man is the worst kind of human being imaginable. He compares racism of its worst kind in this world to what's going on in this case. He has suggested that racism is the foundation of the police department, of our justice system, and only these jurors are capable of fixing everything that has been going on in history? This man is sick!
Thank you very much, Judge.
All right. Then court will be on recess. Thank you.
All rise.
All right, Mr. Simpson, would you please stand and face the jury? Mrs. Robertson.
Superior Court of California, County of Los Angeles, in the matter of the people of the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson, case number BA097211. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant Orenthal James Simpson not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony upon Nicole Brown Simpson.